Welcome to The Verdict. Tom Feher is an award-winning trial lawyer who knows there is more to our stories than what you see on the surface. He has built his law firm, Feher Law, into one of the top injury and employment trial firms representing people in California. Join us each week as Tom explores the successes, challenges, and lessons learned from some incredible people. Hit subscribe, follow Feher Law on Facebook and Instagram, and let's get to the verdict. And now, here is your host, Tom Feher.
Welcome to The Verdict, everybody. Today, we have an amazing guest. We have Arash Homampour. He is a man of many talents, a trial lawyer by day and DJ by night. He is the founder of one of California's most prestigious trial law firms, and he represents people against insurance companies, corporations, and governmental entities. In the last 5 years alone, he has obtained several eight-figure verdicts for catastrophically injured people. He is also known as the Archer, a professional DJ and record producer. He recently started his own record label, There Is a Light, dedicated to releasing techno and house music. As if that wasn't enough to keep him busy, he also started a nonprofit called There Is a Light Foundation, which provides microgrants to individuals who need help getting to the next level in life. Arsh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Fairbearer.
How are you doing?
I'm always good, dude. How are you doing?
You know, always good. I think it's important to find always the good things, even though a lot's going on in both our lives.
That's right. We've had this discussion before and distinction before. It's a big one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell us actually a little bit about that. I think it's important just for our listeners to kind of get a vibe of that.
Sure. So like I tell people that we're master enrollers in bullshit, that people are attorneys or not, they can easily enroll you in how shitty their day is by assembling a set of facts of like, oh, this guy cut me off, or oh, this person did me wrong, or oh, you won't believe what happened here, or even tragedy or, misfortune, besetting someone that you love. You could easily take all those facts and say that life sucks, or you could simply, just stop. And I use the 360-degree perspective, is that there's an angle of perspective where you look and you can see the beauty, grace, abundance, love of life, even in the context of the most horrific things happening. And it's always best to have that moment of gratitude, because it's that sunshine that collects within you that generates love within others.
You say it better than anyone else. And I mean, I think that's an energy that helps. I mean, it helps me when I think about things, just being grateful and looking at the positive things. But then it's the vibe or the energy that you give off to others as well. And they feel it. And you sort of, what you're giving out and putting out comes back to you.
100%. That's what people don't realize, is like being a kind, loving person works. Being angry and reactive doesn't.
Definitely took me some time to learn that.
Well, hey, look, we're all works in progress. I get reactive all the time too, sometimes still in the courtroom, unfortunately. Yep.
Same. Or, there's things just happened to me today where an attorney was constantly asking me to move dates and everything for depositions. And I started getting upset. And I said, well, wait a minute. Why am I getting so upset? It's not a big deal. Just move on.
Yeah.
It's a thing that happens in our life. Well, I wanted to just touch a little bit on, your legal career before we, delve into all of the music that you're doing. And I really want to know, how is it and really why you got started as a lawyer? What sort of prompted that?
Well, I mean, like most people, I had to have a career. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make a living. And I gravitated towards law because it was really the only thing in terms of law school. It's the only thing I could do at that point in terms of still incubating. I wasn't ready to do the real world work. And it was either MBA or law school, and law school looked a lot more enticing. And then as I got into law school, I started looking at personal injury because I was working for an attorney doing personal injury. And then when I graduated, I saw attorneys like, Gary Dordick and Brown Green and others that made it pretty clear that there's a wide variety of personalities that can make it in a courtroom. And that as long as you have the passion and drive and preparation and the talent, that you can be successful. And so I just gravitated towards what I was born to do. And I'm so lucky I did it, because when I'm in a courtroom, it's never work. It's just pure love and joy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when I was in law school, I didn't know exactly what kind of lawyer I wanted to be. And when I saw you could be a trial lawyer and that was something you could do, I fell in love with that. how is it for you navigating what kind of lawyer you wanted to be, and when you sort of learn, okay, this is me, this fits who I am?
Well, I mean, first, you can't, for me, I didn't care what anyone else thought. I just was looking at what is the type of law that I can make the most impact in, make a really good, honest living, and, just make the biggest impact with my particular talents and skills. And so I just literally was like, gravitated towards the type of law which we do. We're not just personal injury attorneys. We're the small segment of personal injury attorneys that actually try their cases, and that are trial attorneys, which is a totally different subset of attorney. And to get to that level, takes a lot of work, hard effort, a lot of just everything. You're everything and everything to be a trial lawyer. It's not just being good as a writer or advocate or whatever. You're like a therapist, you're a photocopy machine, you're everything. You're an internet researcher. So for me, it just literally was what I was born to do. I'm just really, really good at it. I love it. And I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to do it and still have the opportunity to do it. Just so everyone's clear, the DJ career is a second career. I will and always be a trial lawyer. So the day I die, I will be in courtrooms.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes we put labels on ourselves, and I was going to say, you are a trial lawyer, but then I'm thinking there's so many different things that you are and that you do. And ultimately, who knows what your next thing may be that you add to your repertoire. So it's interesting that, sometimes we get pegged as a certain type of person. Oh, a trial lawyer can never be a DJ, or a DJ can never be a trial lawyer. Well, clearly that's not true.
Well, right now, I always tell people the reason, let me say, strike that, as us lawyers say. Most important thing you can do to be the best at whatever you do is to be the best human you can be. And so when I walk into a courtroom, I'm not a trial lawyer per se. I'm someone who's living his best life, doing everything he loves, filled with joy, and I glow in out because I'm doing what I love. There's nothing I haven't done that I don't want to do. There's nothing I'm doing that's not part of my pursuit of passion. Everything I'm doing is for the good of others in the universe and spreading love and making the world a better and safer place. So I always focus on how can you be the best human possible? That will then translate and transcend whatever genre or profession you're in.
Yeah. And, this idea of love, I used to write when I first started trying cases. I actually wrote on all of my notes in big letters, lead with love. Right. And just don't forget that, because it's so easy to get upset if a ruling doesn't go your way or if a witness is getting unruly. But that really helped change my mentality and how I approach trying cases.
Have a vibe check. I had a sticker with a smiley face on my screen just to remind me, because again, we could be the best guru, yogi practitioner in the universe, but we're still within the human construct, and we still forget and go on autopilot, and we still become reactive, and we still get upset. And it takes rigor to constantly, on a real-time basis, remind yourself, lead with love, be kind, be nice, be generous, still use your skill set to do whatever you got to do, but always do it from love. And it's so whoever's listening, it takes effort, and it doesn't always happen. Even when you're making music or as a DJ or a painter or whatever, 99% of your stuff is garbage. It's the 1% that, carries the day. With trial work, it's the other way around. Usually it's 99% of our work is like gold and 1% sucks because we're really selective. But that's why we make a living doing trial law. And I'm not making a living being a DJ.
I wanted to just ask about, not only are you a trial lawyer, but that you developed this firm and grown it. It's a business, it's successful. What are some of the challenges you had just growing it and getting it to where it is today?
Well, the problem, one of the problems or the challenges with a firm that we have in our area is that usually it's like one trial attorney, me, and you're the leader. And so everyone's looking to you for guidance. They're your cases that you're going to try. And so if you've got, some firms have like 300 cases, we have about 30 to 40 cases. That's a lot of cases if they're all large cases. The challenge is staying on top of each and every case in terms of just making sure that you're available and, involved in all the decision making, at the same time realizing that you cannot grind yourself to a pulp by being involved in every little transaction involved in every case. It's not effective and it's not productive. So finding the balance between being involved, delegating, having a good staff, and other attorneys working on the files, making sure that they're working it up properly. That's the balance, which I've been blessed. I mean, my firm is considered one of the best, top to bottom, from legal assistants to the top, and everyone's just amazing. And we're really blessed in terms of having an amazing team.
I think, developing that trust and sort of relinquishing control, especially when you're the leader and your own skill set and the level at which you can do things, and then wanting other people to execute at that level as well, can take some time, or can really be a challenge, as it was for me as well, trying to give that up.
Yeah, I mean, you've started your own firm in the last few years, so you're dealing with designing a firm from the bottom up, making sure it's right. Everyone has problems hiring competent support staff right now. All in all sectors of businesses, they're having issues with hiring competent employees, and so it's difficult. But if you treat your employees well, and you look at the long term, you're not an abusive boss, you treat them, pay them well, treat them like family, you're not going to have a lot of turnover. In our firm, we really I go beyond the call of duty in terms of just trying to make sure that they have a work-life balance, making sure that they're paid well, making sure they have lots of benefits, making sure that the big picture is more important than one individual case, and just treating them like family, better than
Yes. Well, I think I spend more time with the people in my office than I do with my family sometimes. And I mean, they are family.
Yeah. And we'd be nothing without the team, right? We could walk into a courtroom and work magic all day long, but if someone hasn't worked up the file, dealt with the client, talked to the family, dealt with, we're dealing with people with tragic situations and outcomes. And this is a constant, requirement of love and attention, and we can't personally do it all ourselves. And if you don't have a good team, there's no way you're going to get the great results. So the great results are a function of not only the attorney's skill and talent, but also the team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this music career that you're embarking on, or actually, you've had a lot of success already. Have you always been passionate about music?
Always. You and I have talked about this. Like, music is oxygen. It's everything for me. When I was younger, I wanted to be a rock star, not like a traditional like Bon Jovi rock star. I wanted to be like, the Smiths or the Cure or Duran Duran, or even at one point a rapper, which I think Tom is a rapper, but we're not going to go there. North Hollywood's best. But yeah, I had a love affair with music, and I really wanted to be a rock star. And it's funny because in the legal world, I think I became kind of like a rock star as like a pseudo, career, because, I really wanted it in the music biz, and I've never given up on music. And the beauty of electronic music is that it's a genre that you can make music that you love. It doesn't have to have the complex song structures and vocals that maybe a traditional song does. And I gravitated towards that. I've always been listening to it. I've always been going to concerts and DJs and all that. And during the pandemic, that gave us a lot of downtime where I really could focus on two things. One is developing a career as a DJ and doing whatever it took to get there. And the second was developing a career as a producer and learning how to produce music. And so I really worked on both of those during the pandemic. And then coming out of the pandemic, said I got to start a record label, because I really have a vision and the resources to make that vision come true in terms of promoting my music, and then more importantly, promoting the music of other house and techno DJs, and trying to get them from a place of doing part-time music to full-time music. Because there's a lot of producers and DJs who do this on a part-time basis because they simply can't support themselves financially. And so my goal is to take really talented producers and get them so that they can work full-time in the area that they love, generating and spreading beautiful music. So that's where the record label part came in.
Yeah. I guess tell me, you said music is sort of the oxygen for you. What do you mean by that?
Like we've talked about, I've given seminars at CALA in front of like thousands of attorneys where I have a rap song as my PowerPoint and I go over the lyrics. I used to, like, before I would go to trial or in trial or before a closing argument, listen to a Jay-Z song, because music literally inspires me and gets me into a frame of mind or a point of reference where, you're like the champion and you're taking on, the rights of an underdog, you're David versus Goliath or whatever rap stuff, whatever. So for me, music was literally in my car as I'm driving, in the shower, at my house, at night when I'm writing briefs. when I'm getting ready for court, whatever, it's just always on. So incorporating music into my life, it was already there, and just trying to take that and, take it to the next level, not have it just be the background of my life, but have it be something that I'm actively involved in.
Yeah, I had a younger jury once, and I sang or rapped, or I guess it wasn't really a rap, but I went over the lyrics of Ice Cube's "It Was a Good Day" to sort of talk about the how little things in our life matter so much, and it's a great song. And I mean, I listen to different things all the time on the way to trial, whether it's old school like some disco music, or it's 90s music or 80s. I mean, I've always had a love for different things. Obviously, I gravitated more towards hip hop because when I was young, that was what was popular at that point. It was alternative rock, and then you had an explosion of hip hop in that industry. But it definitely puts you in a vibe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell people, if you're in the worst mood possible and that one song comes on from your childhood, the Beatles or some disco song, it instantly transports you to joy. And so once you know that you have access to transcending whatever mood or vibe you're in and getting to a place of joy, music does that. And so anything we can do to sort of further that beautiful component of our human existence is it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How is it? I guess a lot of people, they'll mess around with music, or they'll say they want to become a DJ or they want to become an artist. How is it for you? How are you able to get so much success so quickly in this area?
Well, again, it's like, how do you get so much success as a trial lawyer? It's really simple. Work hard, work efficiently, and be kind and loving to everybody. So you never know who you're going to meet at this event that you may transform their life, or they may transform your life. And so when I go out to a party or to a function, I try my best to be open and loving and look people in the eye, shake their hands, be kind, be loving, not because I'm going to get anything from them, because that's the way you should be, but invariably you connect with people. And it's those connections that literally you go this way, instead of going this way, or this way, you go this way, right? You meet the right person. It's boom, you're instantly connected. If someone's trying to be a trial lawyer, they could go talk to 100 people, but they meet you, or they meet Gary Dordick, or they meet anyone else. It's now you're sitting with someone or talking with someone that actually knows what they're talking about and has the access and information and power to get you further on your journey if that's where you want to go. So I met a techno producer named Graham, or CN, which I think you've met him before, at a party in the summer during COVID. And he really helped me in terms of establishing a label, making a lot of connections. And, then my DJ talents and production talents took me the rest of the way. And then just being kind. I mean, in the last year, I've met so many people in the industry just by being a nice person and generous and kind.
Yeah. What was it like? I mean, had you had it, I was going to ask, what was it like trying to learn how to produce music? I take it you didn't have too much experience with the production side of things until recently.
Well, I mean, what most people don't know about us, trial lawyers, the ones that are really successful, is that we are individuals who will learn and master topics we have no idea about: brain injury, orthopedics, car design, traffic engineering, premise design, product safety, product, warnings, et cetera. There's so many topics we have to learn, and then not only learn, but master in order to take that complicated concept and then explain it simply to a jury in a way that gets them behind our client and our cause. And so that concept of mastering the topic, which is what a lot of the trial attorneys teach to other aspiring trial attorneys, whatever you're going to do, whatever the topic is, you got to master it. I brought that same thinking or that mindset to being a producer. I wanted to learn production, and I just literally mastered it as best as I could. And just read everything, all the tutorials, and just really worked really hard. And another component of it is with cooking, you've got to start with the right ingredients. So whatever the best samples, the best VSTs, the best techniques, that's the approach you should use. And then less is more. So it's with cooking, best ingredients, and then simplicity always wins over things that are way too complicated. So that's the approach I've used with music, and it's worked. And again, I don't care. I love music. I'm not tied to this music as a business. I don't care if I make money. So I have a certain level of freedom with it and playfulness with it, that there's no forced outcome. It's just, I just want to keep doing it. So my relationship with it is different than like someone who's doing it for a job or a career.
That's interesting, like perspective of just doing something for the love of it. And when I started out as a trial lawyer, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a family. It was just me. And I watched people like yourself and others. And I just said, I wanted to be the best at this as possible. I want to be able to tell stories and really be a voice for people and help them. And that was my goal. And that's what drove me to work, insanely hard to figure out how to do this, because it wasn't something that came natural in a lot of ways. And I had to sort of disabuse myself of a lot of things I learned in law school to do that. And I'm still a work in progress constantly.
We all are. I mean, we're never there. All of us can improve. All of us can learn better techniques to make better results for our clients. So yeah.
One of the keys you hit on is just mastering things. And everyone sort of has a different approach to doing it. And if you're going to be really good at something, you have to learn how to master that. What are some of the techniques or tools that you use to master something like music or like, an area for trials?
Well, so for example, I tried a very complicated neurosurgery, like a case that most neurosurgeons would have difficulty with a ACOM burst aneurysm and the effects of that, and whether that causes short-term memory or whether it's a secondary injury caused by a burst ACOM aneurysm, which is very complicated stuff. How do I master that? Read everything. Talk to 10 different consultants. Have people explain things to you 15 different times. It is not memorizing. It is not kind of just like reading. It is full on 100% comprehension, no loose ends, understanding in a way that you can explain it to a 5th grade class. That's mastering. So that someone asks you any question really in that area, you know how to explain it simply because you've thought about it and you really have a deep understanding of it. And in that last trial, the juror said, they're like, you knew this concept better than the experts did, in the sense that you explained it to us in a way that we really understood it. At some point I was using a St. Ives tube of, facial scrub as a prop to explain how you can have a secondary bleed from, an aneurysm burst that has a rebleed or whatever. So, it's just making things simple, but really spending the time to understand something in a way that you can explain it very simply.
Yeah, I think that's just so critical for anything, is being able to be clear on that. And then, using analogies. A lot of times, we speak so much in analogies. Things are like this, or it was like that. And the better you're able to do that, the better it's going to resonate, with people. And you lost me for a minute there. I was like, oh, I got to go back and do some research on whatever you just said. I was like, wait, what? What meant? Clearly, I'm not doing complicated enough cases.
It's all look. Car mechanics are complicated to me. Plumbing is complicated to me. Wine is complicated to some and not others. We all choose what we're going to become an expert on. So never underestimate the depth of knowledge a computer software person has, or a crypto person has, or a mechanic has, or a plumber has. They've just chosen to master a different topic. The beauty of being a trial lawyer is that we get excited to learn all these complicated but interesting areas, because it translates to getting a just result for our clients. It's like really win-win-win-win for them and for us and for the world.
That's such a compounding positive effect that you just mentioned, and just listening to that. There's so much when you're on the right side of doing something, and on the right side of helping someone. I call it a fire. It's like there's a fire that's burning like a furnace inside of me, and you just keep learning these things, and it just goes. It's like faster and faster and faster, and you come out knowing so much more and being enriched so much more after.
And I call it like kind of like you're a vessel or a portal, that if you're on the right side and you're a good, loving person, things come to you like a portal. In other words, there'll be these aha moments or synchronicities or serendipities even in the middle of trial, simply because if you're walking to court and you're happy and you're filled with joy and you're not filled with resentment, you're not upset, things come to you because you're open. The universe finds its way to give you that answer. And so, 99% of what we're saying, I can say for me, I don't even know what I'm going to say. My cross, my opening, my closing, I don't know. It just comes to me. And I'll have these distinctions that I'll verbalize really clearly and compellingly because I'm open, because I'm filled with joy. But if I'm angry and bitter or have a burrito in my stomach or whatever, nothing's coming to me. Does that make sense?
It totally
If
makes
you're a
sense.
DJ, when you're a DJ, you're supposed to be reading and vibing the crowd, and you're supposed to be taking people on a journey, and you're playing music they've never heard before. And a lot of DJs, they don't plan what they're going to play. They've got maybe 50 songs, and they just start selecting from that pool of songs depending on the vibe of the crowd. That's the same thing as you're moving people as a trial lawyer and as a musician or as a DJ. Yeah,
that's a great point. This idea of moving a crowd or taking them through a journey, and I'm thinking about just being in trial, and you can't just sit there with your notes and read your cross exams or your direct exams. You got to see what the jury's feeling, what they're and you can read their body language and look at what the witness is giving you. But so much of that is what's happening at a festival or at a concert. These people that are playing either music as a DJ or as an artist, and you're vibing what the crowd is giving you, and you're working together to create this amazing experience.
And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're like, hey, I'm going to take you to the south of France, and they're like, no, we're in Van Nuys, buddy. FY. You're like, hey, I want to go to Tulum. And they're like, no, we're on a Long Beach right now. And you're like, never, it doesn't always work out perfectly. Sometimes you take them to the moon or, outer space, and it's like a joyous experience. But sometimes you're like, no, we're in Van Nuys, sir.
It reminds me of when you're in a car and one person grabs the auxiliary cord or wants to play their music, and then people in the car are like, dude, this is terrible.
That never happened. I have solo control of all that stuff. Learn that lesson.
There are a lot of different genres of what's now called, electronic music. I mean, it's been around for quite some time, and Chicago, Detroit, pioneering a lot of good music in the 80s, 90s. How is it that you gravitated towards house and techno music versus some of these other genres?
For me, it's always had to have some form of familiarity in a 4/4 beat. So house and techno are built on a 4/4 beat. It's instead of kick and drum, a kick and snare, now it's kick, 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 kick. 4 kicks. It's just melodic. Most of it has a good melody. Has some of it has vocals. For me, I just love house and techno music. Like that's what I love. I love techno because techno tends to be a more simplistic, visceral version of house music, where they take some of the house music components that you love, a bass line and repetition and energy, and they kind of take it to the next level where it's really, really just powerful journey music. So I like everything in between, from simplistic songs that are, kind of repetitive, but repetitive in a way where there's minor changes that take you on a journey, to full blown, really vocal tracks with house beats. And, I love everything in between.
Are there some artists that have sort of inspired you in the music that you're making?
It's like, I would say there's artists that have inspired me in the music I'm making, but I don't know if you hear that inspiration. I had gone to a BPM festival in Mexico in, I think, 2016 or 17. And I saw 2 DJs, Solomon and then Chusin Ceballos. And at that point, tech house wasn't big in the US, as big in the US yet. That kind of tribal, bass-driven tech house with not a lot of vocals. And I heard this music that was like 6 minutes long, not a lot of stuff going on, but very deep bass, very sub bassy, very percussive, with like vocals sprinkled in and some synth sprinkled in. And I was just like, what the hell is this? This is the shiz, as they say. And I really was drawn to it. And so, because as of that point in time, there was a lot of progressive house, Cascade and Dead Mouse, and playing kind of like, really good music, but it had kind of saturated with like people just making formulaic progressive house with vocals and some girl singing on top of progressions. And so there was time for a change. And when I heard this dark, deep, tribally music in the perfect sort of setting of Mexico, I was just like, what is this? And I knew it was big. I knew when I heard it was big. And then Tech House became really, really big and still is big. And Solomon, since then has become a very big, major player in the techno world. And that was it. It was just like really gravitated towards that sound.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to all different types of electronic music. House techno definitely has an energy that I can work out to it. I can dance to it. I can just hang out to it. So it's something that I think it just got that good vibe. And
it's more of a sophisticated sound. It's more of a mature sound. It's not like dubstep and some of the other stuff in bass house are good, but they're very in your face. Like it's like a balsamic glaze, right? You can, whereas techno and tech house tend to be just more long-standing, mature plates.
Yeah, I like the sort of analogies between cooking and music, and then even talking about trials. But you're seeing all sorts of integration with mainstream artists and electronic music these days, and it's become increasingly popular amongst all sorts of people. It's not just, there used to be this idea that, this is rave music, but it's something that has permeated all different areas of life.
Everyone's going to the club and everyone's going to fest. I mean, there's a festival everywhere. I think, we know like everywhere in the world, there's a festival somewhere. So the DJ culture has been around for a long time. It's definitely getting bigger and bigger. There's more and more DJs. There's more and more producers, especially during the pandemic. And so, I think DJ music is here to stay. And it's definitely, if when you went to Coachella 7 years ago, there'd be 2 DJs playing, now it's like primarily DJs playing all over the place, so it's just interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of festivals, you actually just got to play at one of the more well-known, one of the largest festivals in the US that Insomniac puts out, Electric Daisy Carnival, which I take it was a big break for you to be able to do that.
Absolutely. I played an art car. So it's basically a racetrack configuration. It is a racetrack. And so they have all the big stages at the outskirts of the racetrack. And then in between, as you walk between the different stages, you're going to see these various art cars. So I played the Parliament Insomniac art car, and people would walk by here and then, they climb on top, and it's like an ark or something, like a boat, and listen to you. And it really was an amazing experience. 1, because I got to play. 2, because I just got to walk around and make so many connections with so many amazing people. It was a really great opportunity to just connect with other people in the business who have a passion for music, other DJs, and just spend some time doing and listening to what I love. It was really an amazing opportunity. Yes, so much.
I was gonna say, like, what the experience must be different, and you must see things from a whole new vantage point, being a DJ playing there and then being in the background and talking to all these people versus someone that's just going there to enjoy the music.
Yeah, I mean, I love both, but I love seeing, it's kind of like being a lawyer in the courtroom and seeing how it works. It's intimidating to so many people to walk in a courtroom. For us, it's like second nature. We love it. We thrive in it. So to see the business side of EDC and how it's run and how they treat artists and meeting different artists and making the connections, it's amazing, because I'm here to make a difference for everybody, not just in the courtroom. I want to make a difference and help everyone I possibly can in the music world and outside, in the courtroom and outside. So
yeah, you have one of your first tracks, Lonely Dream, which is a great track. I've listened to it many times. What was the inspiration for that track?
Oh, I wanted to make a Chus and Ceballos type track with, ethereal vocals that you would hear in Tulum or something like that. And so I just, but it's funny because I became friends with Ceballos and the DJ that wrote many of the tracks that I love. And he explained to me that basically what they did is they would listen to a track they love and then kind of reverse engineer, do their own version of it. Which I knew a lot of musicians do, even in the rock world, alt rock world, rap world, whatever. So it was interesting that I had done that, and then he validated that I had attempted to do that. He didn't think it sounded like anything they did, but still, it's that he validated that technique and approach. Yeah,
So that's very, very much like the true artists, right? Who are you're either self-critical about things that you did, but other people love it, or you're like, wait, this totally sounds like your style, and then that person's like, no, that doesn't. How are you balancing all of this right now with being full-time producing and DJing, and then also having the firm?
Well, you have to make time for everything. You have to have an amazing support staff. And support staff sounds so demeaning. You have to have an amazing team of people that you work with, that you trust, that have a passion and love affair for what you do. You have to be able to delegate. You have to be able to not micromanage, and then you have to be able to step in and manage your time. So it's not easy, but I'm doing the things that I love is, music and law. So those things will always find time in my day.
We talked a lot about just having the right team for your firm. What about for the music side of things with production and DJing? What kind of team do you have for that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the best team because you'll produce, and if you don't find the right mixer, right? Mix is so essential. Your mixer is going to sound terrible. So it's all about finding the right team. Like I do a lot of co-productions with other producers where we'll do a track together, and you'll see there are some producers that they kind of know what they're doing, and then there's some producers who are like just wizards. You know what I mean? They just know exactly what they're doing, and you're like, I have this idea in my head, and like 2 seconds later, it's like they're doing it on their finger. So working with the best team is critical. It's like LA. I tell people you can live in LA and not meet the right people and have the worst experience, and then meet the right people, and your experience transforms instantly. It's all about who you are connected with, and not in a using sense, but who you're vibing with, who you're surrounded with, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's as friends, or whether it's in the music world, or whatever profession is. Who you surround yourself with, the crowd you run with, the friends you have, the places you go are so critical. And so if you get into the right world with music, you start hanging around other like-minded producers, you start getting access to other individuals that can help you. And so, that's key, just like in a courtroom.
Yeah, or really anything else. If you have a vision or there's something that you want to accomplish and you want to see it through, having the right people to execute that and having the right people on your team makes the world of a difference.
And I mean, this is something I do in my law firm and I do in music. People underestimate the importance of paying people on time immediately. So at our firm, we pay people the minute we get the bill. There is no, we wait 30 days. Sometimes it's like every week or something, but we pay every bill instantly. Okay. And they tell me there's lawyers that don't pay their bills for months, whatever. In the music biz, it's worse. There are people that just don't pay. And so simply respecting other professionals in the music world, paying them on time, paying them fair, right? It does wonders in terms of how people relate to you and want to do business with you. And then if you're kind and nice, and then if you're actually in love with music and you're someone that can give them something back, it's a no-brainer. They're going to work with you and want to help you. And, it's a symbiotic relationship. You want them to help you, you help them, it works in all areas.
That's something that really a lot of people don't truly appreciate is, and by paying somebody on time, you're respecting them. You're respecting the work and the effort and the time that they're doing, putting into your project or the project that they're working on with you.
Well, everyone's got bills and everyone's got overhead, and you don't pay this vendor, and I mean, it's like it's lame. And I understand everyone has money problems, but when you do, there are people who have tons of money who play the game, right? And they don't pay on time, and they nickel and dime, and they argue, and it's like, I don't do that. Why? Because that $5 or $500 or $10,000, and I could conceptually be a jerk about, right? It's not worth the long-term financial or other rewards you're going to get from maintaining that relationship, because the relationship you have with X person may result, if it's a good one, with Y, Z, R, A, double, double, you know what I mean? It may go this way. But if you burn a bridge with X over a $50 invoice, right? You just lost everyone in their orbit. It's just dumb. So.
There's so many movies, stories, anecdotes of a good thing going bad because somebody was greedy or didn't pay the bill on time.
Yeah. We know those guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what prompted you to start a record label in addition to this DJ career?
Well, it's like, why'd you start your own law firm? I don't want to share my money with anyone else, and I want to do it right. I want to do it my way. I have different resources. I have different risk tolerance than a regular record label. So if you go with a record label, if they're not 100%, if you're number 5 on the 7th release, they may not spend the money, the time, the energy to promote it that you would want, simply because of their financial structure. So if you have your own label, I can do anything I want, right? And obviously I don't have the pull yet of the other labels, but I can get there. It's not that difficult. As you release good music and you follow up, social media, you start doing events, you start signing really good artists, releasing good music, and then over time you can build yourself up into a brand where you're running festivals and can be like the other big game players. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where do you see yourself with music in, say, the next 5 to 10 years that you want to do or accomplish?
For sure, it's to be like running festivals or some type of a festival where we're a brand. We have, that you can get really good house and techno music from us. We are artist driven in the sense that we're here to promote artists. We don't cheat artists. It's not about like making as much money as possible. It's more about making as many artists' music as known as possible and giving them a chance to do this as a career, and just taking the culture of the, and the music that we love and furthering it as much as possible. So it's music, and then ultimately doing festivals and, stuff like that.
We're going to have a brand new festival series then soon.
No.
What about, I know you and I talked about playing at Coachella. Is that still something that you want to do?
Yuma Tent, baby. In the next 2 years, I'm going to play Coachella Yuma Tent. I'm still manifesting it. That's my dream. I don't want to play a stage at Coachella. I just want to play Yuma Tent. That's it. I'm going to make it happen.
Just keep putting it out there in the universe, and like that portal that's going to open up.
Yes, sir.
You talked about giving artists a platform and an opportunity to grow and to play. Is that one of the reasons or motivations for starting the foundation as well?
Well, yeah, but the foundation really is about, there are so many human beings out there that $5,000 to $7,500 is an insurmountable amount of money for them to accumulate in the context of their ordinary income. And yet, if they had access to that kind of money, they could get to the next level in their life by taking a course or whatever it is, dental school, dental assistant school, learning how to do music production, whatever. And so I want to be able to give non-recourse, they don't have to pay it back, grants to individuals so that they can get to the next level in their life, whatever it is. And so I started it 2 years ago. We were waiting for IRS approval. It's funded, it has over $1 million, and it's ready to go, where people can just go to a website, fill in their application, tell me what they want to spend the money on. And as long as it's legit, we would fund it.
And what's the website if someone
not yet. There's a Light Foundation. I literally just asking if it's up and ready, but there's a Light Foundation. They can go there, and at some point, if not now, there should be a system where they can type in their information and apply for grants.
Yeah, very cool. There's not a lot of people that do that, and
And it's no strings attached. I mean, this literally is just to help. My thing is, and I don't know if we've talked about this, is like so many people live their life for consumption, right? All they want to do is accumulate more money to buy more things, right? And at some point, it stops being about consumption, because how many slices of pizza can I eat? In fact, I already know if I eat more than one or two, I'm going to get a stomach ache. So it's like, I don't care how many Porsches and Ferraris you have. I really give a shit how many jets you have. Good for you. If it's an efficient way of you traveling across the US, get one, right? But this is not like I don't give you brownie points for accumulating a $50 billion house in Bel Air, okay? I don't. Good for you. For me, I want to be more about how can I use this talent and kind of surreal access to money that we have as trial lawyers and make the biggest impact in the universe. Because I was not put on this earth simply to take money from one bank account and transfer it to 2 or 3 other bank accounts. That's not what I was put here to do. So what I'd like to do is take whatever blessings I have in the money sphere, continue to do trial work, make even more money, but with the point of not consuming with that money, but giving it away, literally just giving it away. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, there's not it would be great if more people had that vibe or that belief. I think we would probably have a better society but just giving, and you don't necessarily have to have money to give to others.
Fine.
It's such a trip. Every morning I drive by this neighbor he's always outside, and I always just wave to him, but he always waves back. And it's like one of the best moments of the morning.
Yeah.
Just this, and we don't actually really talk that much because it's my drive around, but I wave and he waves back, and it's just this little connection and this little moment that we have, and it takes nothing. It's totally free.
Yep.
And it's like we do it every morning.
Yeah. Everyone has a talent, and your job is to look at that talent. How can they meet the world's greatest need with that talent? So if it's your talent's waving and smiling or giving people a hug in the morning and making 10 people go to their work with a smile on their face, then do it. Whatever your talent is, whatever you have abundance of, you're responsible to share that with the universe.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice for anyone. And the thing is, everyone actually has a talent.
Yes.
That's the beautiful thing about just us as individuals, as people, is that we all have it. And it's just about giving it away as much as you can.
100%.
So I've been following music for a long time, and just like you, and things are constantly changing in terms of technology and what you can do with production. And sometimes I do think of it like, you can listen to good music and you don't have really anything around it, and it can be a great experience. And it's like going to that local mom and pop shop or a taco truck that just got the bomb food, and you're like, that was awesome. Or you can have that sort of that experience where you've got amazing service, and you're obviously paying a lot more for those kind of things. But production and the technology that's advancing can create all sorts of different experiences for the music lover and the person that's going to a festival. Where do you see that sort of heading with a lot of the advancements in technology that's being used or trying to be used in the music industry?
Well, it's interesting because there's this group called Tale of Us, and they have this pretty remarkable visual lighting setting where they do projection of these huge images, surreal, maybe even 3D. I haven't figured it out, synced to the music, so that when you go to the festival or their concerts, you're not only getting the music and the sounds, but you're getting the visuals along with it. So it's a really mystical experience. And I'm always wondering, like, why don't more artists do that? I know it's capital intensive and it costs a lot of money, but if you have the ability to fund that, it really does transform the listener's experience. And it kind of is your calling card that when you go to festivals, you're going to get a Tale of Us experience with the guy, hanging upside down, twirling, and just pretty trippy stuff. So I think that you're going to have the dark techno, dirty, sweaty Berlin type club where it's no frills and just loud music and black and sweat. And then I think you're going to have the fine dining of music where it's, high end in the jungle with lights and everything synced. And then everything in between. I love all the above. I do. So for me, I like the sort of simplistic stuff, and I also like the high end stuff. So at some point, if the record label really picks up and we get some more capital in or a hit, I would definitely finance doing something like Tale of Us and making our concerts or the label's concerts an experience for sure. That's the goal.
It's I think about like what's my first like visual experience or sensory and music experience, and it goes back to like going to theme parks with my family or Vegas for like a vacation, and my mom was always in love with the classical music with the water like spraying out at different times, and like she's like, I have to see the water show, I have to see the and so it's something that you're seeing in other genres too. I mean, it's not something that's solely in the electronic music scene. I mean, it's classic music, it's stuff that's going on at the Hollywood Bowl.
The drones, so at EDC, you would see behind me these drones create, 100 drones creating an EDC logo turning into an owl. It's trippy what they're doing with these drones in terms of just like humongous visuals. That's another thing that I'd love to look into. Sounds complicated, but it's very cool.
The production side of it it's remarkable. And I mean, what was it a few years ago where Coachella actually brought back, was it Eazy-E or who as a hologram? It was Tupac.
Yeah. They're doing that. I mean, we're all going to go into the virtual world and soon enough, hopefully not now. I'm not looking forward to the virtual world. I think the real world is enough, but yeah, it's definitely moving towards holograms and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, augmented reality and the metaverse and all that, it'll be here faster than we know it.
I can't even I don't like remembering the phrase metaverse. Every time I want to pull it up in my head, I don't. I think it's because it's like a bad word.
Well, there's a ton of like good books out there to kind of, either scare you or at least give you some insight as to what it may look like. And
we're in it right now. I just like this metaverse. I don't want to go from this metaverse into the metaverse created by the metaverse. That doesn't sound fun.
Well, look, it's been great having you on, talking about music and what you've been up to. Are there any upcoming shows that we should know about that are just,
Yeah, next Saturday, July 16th at Academy at 2:00 is a label night for Octopus, and I'm opening. And then the next weekend in San Diego is the Cross Festival, but we're playing some sort of crossed out festival at another club, another venue. It's on my website or my Instagram.
And so if people want to check out and see when you're playing, what's your Instagram handle?
It's at the Archer DJ.
And then website, what's your website?
No idea. I don't know.
Just Google the Archer.
Just at the Archer DJ and then click my profile. There's like, the IO thing, and then you can see everything.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's been really great just hanging out and talking music today. So thanks again for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Of course.
As ever. Take care, dude.
Thanks.